What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so this is a video that was requested by one of my subscribers. I think I may have done a video like this before, but can't remember. Anyway, I'll just do it again, if I have. And that is, who would win in a hypothetical matchup between the 2017 Warriors and the 1996 Bulls? This was one of the most frequent questions and debates in sports talk, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago. So the 2017 Warriors, that was Kevin Durant's first year in Golden State. I believe they went 67-15 that year, which actually ironically was six wins fewer than the year before when they won an NBA record 73 games. It's ironic because they're considered a more high-powered team with KD, but they won fewer games. But anyway, that year they went on to destroy the Cavaliers and win in the finals, and they won their, what was it, their fifth championship? I think it was their fifth. The first was when they was in Philadelphia in 1946-47. Their second, when they were the Philadelphia Warriors in 1955-56. Their third came in Golden State 74-75 during the Rick Barry era. And then their fourth came in 2014-15. The upstart youngin Lakers. So that was their fifth. Their sixth would come the next season, 2017-18. And their seventh, which makes them, I believe, third in NBA history as far as franchises with championships, came just 2021-22. Then you have the 1996 Bulls. Michael Jordan's first full year back in the NBA. He had one of his most dominant seasons ever, winning regular season MVP, NBA Finals MVP, a championship obviously, All-Star Game MVP, won his then record-breaking 8th scoring title. When he retired in 93, he was tied with Wilt with 7. Averaged 30 points per game once again, although it would be his last year averaging 30 points per game. I want to make this point before I go forward, though. It's ironic that even though Jordan averaged fewer points in 1998, 28.7, because of the pace slowing down, he actually scored more of a percentage of points for his team in 1998 than he did in 1996 when he averaged 30.4. Even though he averaged 30.4 in 1996, the team as a whole averaged, I think it was 105.3. Then by 1997, the team average scoring went down to, I think it was 103.7 or something like that. His scoring average dropped to 29.6. But in 1998, he averaged 28.7 points per game, but the team only averaged, I believe, 96.7. So, proportionally, it would have been like him scoring, 32 points per game or something like that in 1996. But anyway, that's just some nerd stat I put in there. Who would win? Steve Kerr. I know that no matter what happens, Steve Kerr wins. He either wins as a player or as a coach. But to be honest with you, I don't know who's going to win this matchup. I don't know. And the reason being is that even though I believe any great player can adapt to any era, these specific rosters were created for the era in which they played in. These teams played in. The 2017 Warriors were a roster that was created for a league that was much more three-point orientated, hence all the shooters, Clay, Steph, Durant. People forget Durant can knock down the three ball. You had other guys on the team that can shoot. This is a league that was not as preoccupied with post play and size. They were a smaller team. Draymond Green is the power forward. He's only 6'5". And It's a league that's orientated with spacing, hence the shooting. So it's a different league. It was a different league. Not saying that the Warriors were not a good defensive team, because they still were at that time. Their bench took a hit. They weren't as deep as they were in 2015-16. But the Bulls were a team that was built on size in the post, rebounding, defense. It was a different era. Play was more orientated toward post. Even Michael Jordan scored a lot of his points in the post. It was a totally different era, different styles of play. So, who would win? I don't know. I mean, instinctively, I would think that the Warriors have an advantage offensively. I mean, you got Steph Curry, the greatest three-point shooter ever, and arguably the greatest shooter ever, although I still maintain that Kevin Durant is in that conversation for greatest shooter as well. He's in that conversation. I mean, this is a guy that shoots for his career just a hair, and I mean a hair, like 49 point. Let's look at it right quick. He shoots a hair under 50% from the floor in his career. Let's see something. Sorry about this, but I'm gonna do I just love precision. I love to be accurate in what I'm talking about. 49.9%. So he's attempted 18,439 shots in his career. And he's converted on 9,199. So that is 49.91. Yeah. He's just a hair under 50% from the floor for his career. He's a 38.5% career three-point shooter. And he's an 88.6% career free throw shooter. And he has shot 90% or greater from the free throw line twice, leading the NBA that second time, 2012-13 and 90.5. 3, 4, 5. 5 times. 4 times, excuse me. 4 times in his career he's shot over 90% from the foul line. Just seeing something here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times he has shot over 40% from 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times. As a matter of fact, 10 years in a row, he has shot over 50% from the floor. 10 years in a fucking row, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years in a row, Kevin Durant has shot over 50% from the floor. And this is not a guy that bowling balls his way to the basket a la LeBron James. So yeah, I do think that Kevin Durant is in the conversation. Then you have Klay Thompson. He's not the force he once was, but we know Klay, if he can get space and good look, he can really get in the zone. So offensively, man, the Bulls can't compete with that type of shooting. So the Bulls' advantage, though, would be their depth, because that's something that the Warriors would be lacking. So the Bulls would have to really be ramped up defensively. They would have to ramp up defensively. And I think if I was the coach, if I were Phil Jackson, what I might do defensively is this. I would put Dennis Rodman on KD. Okay? I put Dennis Rodman on KD. Rodman has that core strength. Now, the thing is, I don't know at that point whether Rodman has the lateral quickness to guard KD outside the paint at that point. You know, he wasn't. Now, if we're talking about Rodman from 90, 91, yeah. But by 96, I don't know if he was the same defender. Maybe that first year. But, he started showing some signs of age with his defense. But, more or less, I would put Rodman on him, maybe at times Harper. But I put Rodman on him primarily, sometimes sometimes Harper. As far as Curry is concerned, I would put Harper on him. Because offensively, I'm not as committed to Harper. Harper's not as important offensively to the team. So if he gets fouls or in foul trouble, so be it. Curry's going to be the guy that's going to handle the ball a lot, shoot a lot, pick up fouls when the opposing player guarding him. I'll put Harper on. I put Pip. I would put, Pip on Clay. And I think Clay, if we were playing by older rules, would contain Klay Thompson. Run him off the run him off the 3-point line. If we're playing by 2000s rules, they wouldn't be shooting as many threes anyway. You know what I'm saying? Hell, Pippen could be, Pippen could be, or Harper could be picking up their ball handlers from shit before they get to the fucking half court line. The reason why I will have it like that is because I don't want Michael picking up fouls. I want Michael Jordan to be fresh, and I want him to score as many fucking points as he can, because Michael's going to have to go nuts individually to beat this team. They got too many scorers. It's going to have to be a committee job to try to slow them down offensively. I mean, Michael's going to have to do something like what he did against Phoenix, in my opinion, in a series or a game. Now, look, if it's one game, you never know. Pip might go out there and hit 5 threes and score 35 points. You know, it's possible. But the reason why I think you got to really rely on Michael is because I found out a startling statistic that even I didn't know about 2 weeks ago. I had no idea that from the time Michael Jordan came back out of his first retirement, did you know that Scottie Pippen never scored 30 points in a playoff game from 1995 onward? At least for the Bulls. And presumably, I'm assuming the rest of his playoff careers. That's stunning. He never scored 30 points in a playoff game afterwards. And part of that was the game was changing. Some of it was offensively he started falling apart because of the back injury that he suffered in 1996, right? He started deteriorating as a player. But a lot of it was the game was changing. Lanes were being clogged up. And it wasn't as easy for a guy that was a slasher to score. You know, players that were used to slashing had to become more jump shooters. Michael Jordan was a jump shooter. And he had worked and perfected on that part of his game. So that's why he was able to stay an effective scorer and still be relatively efficient. Pippen fell apart offensively. Even to a certain extent, that happened to Clyde Drexler, even though Clyde got hurt too, and that affected his game a lot. But even with Clyde, Clyde was a slashing type player when he was younger, shooting 47, 48, 49% from the floor. But then afterwards, after the injury and when the games changed and, he couldn't penetrate to the basket as easy because of the bigs, even his percentage started dropping to 42, 43, 44%. And this is another point I want to make too in this video. When I say that the bigs got better in the 90s, look, you've always had centers. But this is something that Nick Wright and these guys don't tell you. The centers got more athletic in the late 90s, the mid to late 90s. See, before there was these big plotting guys like Mark Eaton, and Mike Jaminski, Greg Kite. There were these big centers, Joe Klein. But what happened was you started seeing more athletic bigs. You started seeing Antonio McDykes. You started seeing Kevin Garnett. You started seeing, even though I know Tim Duncan isn't seen as the most athletic big, but, when he was younger, he could maneuver a little bit, but still. You get my point. Stromile Swift, Darius Miles, Lamar Odom. You started seeing these guys who were big, agile, had good lateral quickness, so it wasn't as easy for these slashers to get to the basket. That's why I laugh when people say, oh, if you put LeBron in the 90s, he would dominate. I don't know about that. He would be great, but he's not going to be dunking on everybody like that. So, anyway, at the end of the day, I don't know who's going to win this series. If Michael Jordan is off, if he's having a bad series, then the Warriors are going to win in a walk. Maybe 4-1, 4-2. If the Bulls take advantage of getting Michael in a situation where he's not expending himself defensively and he's pretty much on fire offensively, to be honest with you, I think a better matchup may be the 2017 Warriors versus the 92 Bulls, because that's a younger version of Scottie Pippen and a younger Jordan who's more athletic and had more energy. That's the Michael Jordan that could seemingly play for days and play on a high level offensively and defensively for entire games. I think that would be a more intriguing matchup, though you lose the Dennis Rodman defensive factor. Who do you put on him then? Horace Grant? And then you don't have the tall, athletic Ron Harper at your disposal anymore. So that's the problem. But I think Pippen, as I recall him playing, he does a lot better offensively because he's a slashing player, and Pippen excelled in the full court type offense. Pippen would probably excel, younger Pippen especially, in a series against the Golden State Warriors. Especially that team that was thinner as far as their bench is concerned and didn't have the shot blocking, or at least the rim protecting presence of a guy like who was his name in 2016? The center that got hurt in the finals. Anyway, can't think of his name right now. But anyway, I could talk about this shit for days, man. I guess I'm generally saying I don't know, man. I really don't know who will win. It depends on a lot of different things. The rules, who's being contained the most, which coach has the best strategy. Being that Steve Kerr was influenced by Phil Jackson, and Steve Kerr has a history of being out-coached, I give the advantage coaching-wise to Phil Jackson. It's hard to bet against Michael Jordan. So let's just say, for the hell of it, I say Bulls in 7. Tell me what you guys think.